Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni. Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victoria Tundu MQ Abiola.
Good morning.
Yes. Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. We start with the window story. 2022 committee mobilizing Nigerians for quality leadership, building consensus for country's rebirth. Yes, over 100 leaders in business, politics, thought leaders met over the last weekend, and the goal to chart a new path for Nigeria. But so many politicians, with a number of politicians in the mix, well, this is not about 2023. It's about taking Nigeria to the next level. I mean the next level. In the light of the situation we found ourselves as a nation. And I think these leaders should be encouraged because this is a non-partisan, pan-Nigerian initiative that should be given all the encouragement to blossom. But what the politicians in their midst do when they go to their various political parties is another matter altogether, because politicians have been part of the problem of the country. But again, under a forum like this, the 2022 committee, you expect that perhaps the politicians in their midst will take a new sense of urgency for national rebirth to their various political parties in making their decisions. So, building consensus for a country's rebirth is a great initiative, and the Daily Trust is reporting this news. Also, the Daily Trust newspaper, leaders reach common ground to save Nigeria. 14 governors, Saraki, Kwankwanso, Rebadu, Dangote, Otedola, others attend Pali. CBN governor, minister present as Buhari backs movement. We are for national rebirth. Conveners, of course, the conveners include Prince Unduka of Baigbena, chairman, CEO of the This Day Arise group, as well as Kashim Imam. Well, let's just move over to another story. Back to the front page of This Day. Now, the lead story. Yes. Adulterated fuel. Kyari names MRS Emadeb-Consortium, Oando, Duke Oil as culprits. Explains why inspectors did not dictate bad petrol before circulation. National Oil Company requests emergency supply. NMDPRA says nation has 10-day reserve deficit. Announces arrival of 300 million liters of fuel. Assures queues to disappear by Friday. Federal government investigation. Others investigation. Federal government others investigation. Well, this story, of course, as long as we still have queues here and there, but we need to get to the roots of this matter. So far, we've heard from NNPC. We've heard from MRS. And both positions seem to be divergent. Because whereas the NNPC is saying those companies that we gave the contract to exchange crude for fuel, for PMS, are responsible for bringing this fuel that does not meet our specification into the country. MRS, in its statement, is insisting that NNPC, being the sole importer, imports fuel and they take into their depot. But who do I believe? I know who Tundu believes, but I will continue to say. But I think we should be looking for an independent investigator in this matter, because NNPC that is investigating is also being fingered as responsible. But what about the company that sold this petroleum product to Nigeria? Is it a Russian company, a Belgian company, or a Russian company? We need to hear from that company.
We do.
Reason, because we know that fuel with some high level of methanol is cheaper. Was somebody looking for cheap oil? We need to get to that company. Were they in a position to sell this to Nigeria without asking for that? Was it deliberate? Did we know what they were selling to us? Whoever bought, whether MRS and other companies or NNPC. But the statement that in Nigeria we don't test in itself is self-indicting.
It is.
So you mean we don't know what comes into the country? Nobody tests. So perhaps this is not the first time. Perhaps some engines that got knocked, nobody knew where the problem came from. If over the years, if we're to believe NNPC, we have not been testing the level of methanol. And I think that in itself is strange, if not criminal, that Nigeria just take in anything without checking the level of methanol. But again, like they say, we know with this level of methanol, that fuel is certainly cheaper than the one with normal level. And as we say in Nigeria, cheap article. Of course, you can complete the rest, what it does to you. But we need to get to the roots of this. And I listened to Farouk Ahmed, the CEO of the regulatory body, saying that, well, we are new.
Authority. Constituted authority.
A body that did not exercise their authority in this case. Because to say that we are new, we are learning, this is one of the learning curve. It's a very expensive learning curve. I don't want to go into the background of Farouk Ahmed, but I believe if somebody has been given such a responsibility after the passage of the PIB into an act signed by the president, we should put our very best foot forward. But to say that you are learning and this is part of the learning curve, I don't think that has done any good to the CEO of that authority, according to Ruben, authority. You emphasize. Now, let's just look at other newspapers, what they are reporting. Of course.
Except that we have just 1 minute.
1 minute?
About to go.
Oh, well, it means I'll just look at...
4 minutes.
4, okay, 4 minutes, okay. Now, quickly, what the other newspapers in Nigeria are reporting. The Punch newspaper, Adulterated, fuel marketers fear court cases. Federal government hints at compensation for damaged vehicles. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, fuel queues persist in Lagos, Abuja. Federal government proves importation of bad fuel. Okay, 13 billion contract for aviation. Now, the New Telegraph, federal government begins importation. Federal government begins imported contaminated fuel probe. Yes. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, bad fuel, scarcity worsens cost, storage, delay removal. Marketers decry lack of space to stock new product. Federal government marketers set up committees to assess situation. NNPC, NMDPRA warn against panic buying in Lagos, Abuja, others. While the Guardian newspaper looking at another aspect of petroleum product, Industry risk collapse as aviation fuel hits 400 naira per litre. Fuel price increased over 100% in 1 year from 190 naira per litre. Air travelers to pay more. Local airlines groan over spike in operating expenses. Nigeria's domestic airline business may go into extinction, says Okonkwo. FEC okays 12 billion naira for procurement of plane bridges. African Airlines lost $8.6 billion in 2021 to COVID-19 travel restrictions. Of course, the Daily Independent also has this story. Airlines collapse. Fare hike loom as Jet A1 rises 400 naira per litre. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly, the Times of UK, Prime Minister among 50 set to be questioned by police. Yes, 7 days to respond to formal questionnaire. Yes, the Prime Minister will be one of those to receive the questionnaire, and he has to respond because detectives will begin sending formal questionnaire at the week asking about their participation in 12 alleged parties. Of course, the Prime Minister is believed to have attended at least 6, including the Bring Your Booze party. Now, let's look at the New York Times. Quickly, the New York Times. Cheers and fears compete as states relax mask rules. Weary White House caught in the middle. Ruben and Tundu, if you still have some time.
We don't really have much time left, but I was going to draw your attention to another story that appeared in some of the papers, which is the House of Representatives yesterday passing through second reading a bill that was proposed by Honorable Segios Ogun from Edo PDP, that look, government officials who go abroad for medical treatment and whose spending on medical issues.
Who do so at government expense?
Yeah, they do so at government expense, should be liable to 7-year imprisonment or a fine of 500 million naira or both.
Not going to happen.
Well, the response from the floor was not quite enthusiastic. We understand that some of the lawmakers, they just murmured through it. But Segios Ogun stood his ground, that he thinks that if we do that, if we adopt this clause 2 to section 26 of the National Health Act of 2014, then perhaps people will be discouraged from going abroad at government expense to seek medical care. Then they will pay more attention to health infrastructure in Nigeria. I thought that was an interesting piece of legislative.
There's a proviso that if you get unless you get the consent of the minister or the commissioner.
Yes, no, that provision is already there. That is section 46 of the National Health Act that I refer to. But he says no punishment is prescribed in that act. So if it happens, then you get punished. You go to jail for either 7 years, or you pay 500 million, or
even when you get permission from the minister,
which commissioner and the commissioner,
no, where an abuse can be established. Because what the law talks about, he says exemptions. So he's talking about where you violate it.
Which commissioner will a governor approach and say, I need this exemption? Commissioner will sign it in 2 seconds.
Or the governor instructs the commissioner, please sign for
somebody else in 2 seconds. Or which minister is going to refuse the president that appointed him?
Well, but let us see how Segios Ogun's proposal plays out. But I'm sure many Nigerians would like to see people punished for using public funds.
Well, it looks like one of those.
To treat stomachache. Right?
Yes, the intent is in order, but that lacuna.
Well, it looks like one of those amendments that is just to put the legislator in the limelight.
Anyway, thank you very much, Emadeb-Consortium. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.